The joke that changed everything in the heart of the galaxy, where stars burned like cold diamonds. Aliens gathered for the royal celebration of House Verac. They were tall, proud, and cruel. Their empire ruled over 90 planets, and they loved to show their power. For them, nothing was funnier than mocking the weakest species of all, humans. At the party, drinks glowed in strange colors, and music thumped like the heartbeat of a dying planet. But the real entertainment was yet to come. Bring out the gift, the alien prince barked, laughing with sharp teeth. Guards dragged her in, a thin, quiet female alien, no older than 20 human years. She belonged to no one, a servant from a broken planet. She had silver eyes, short dark hair, and scars on her back. She didn't speak. "She's nothing," said one of the alien nobles. "Just a cleaning girl. We'll give her to the human." As a joke. The others laughed. It was common knowledge humans were unpredictable, aggressive, and strange. Most aliens feared them, but they also found them amusing. And this particular human, a battle-worn commander named Captain Rylan, Wardry had been invited to the party as a diplomatic gesture. He stood tall, calm, his eyes sharp and alert, like a wolf in a room full of snakes. When the guards pushed the girl toward him, Rylan didn't move. He looked at her, not with disgust, but with curiosity. "What is this?" he asked, his voice low. "A gift," the alien prince smirked. "From our royal house. A little fun for your ship, perhaps. Consider it a souvenir." Everyone laughed again. The girl didn't look at the prince. She didn't cry or beg. She stared at the floor, waiting, like she had already accepted her fate. But then something strange happened. Rylan stepped forward. He bent slightly and looked her in the eyes. "What's your name?" he asked softly. Silence. "She doesn't speak," one alien said, rolling his eyes. "She's useless." But Rylan ignored them. "She's not an object," he said calmly. "I'll take her." The laughter stopped. "What?" The prince blinked. "I said, I'll take her," Rylan repeated, "and I'll make sure no one lays a hand on her again." He placed a hand gently on her shoulder. She flinched, not from his touch, but from shock. No one had ever touched her like that before, not kindly. The aliens didn't know whether to laugh again or get angry. But Rylan was already walking away, the girl beside him. Back on his ship, a sleek black human vessel named the Nomad, Rylan offered her food, clean clothes, and a warm bed. She sat quietly, always watching, like a bird unsure if the cage was truly open. "You're safe here," he said one night. "You don't have to be afraid." Her eyes narrowed. She didn't believe him yet. But something inside her, something buried deep, started to flicker. Hope. Her name, she finally told him, was Lyra. And then Rylan learned something interesting. She wasn't just a servant. She had once been part of a minor royal family, long forgotten after her homeworld was conquered. That joke the aliens played, it might have hidden a very dangerous truth. If Lyra was who she claimed to be, then she was more than just a gift. She was a threat. Or maybe a key. A few weeks passed. Lyra spoke more, smiled sometimes. She watched Rylan train, fight, and work. He wasn't soft, but he was never cruel. And unlike everyone else in her life, he didn't want anything from her, but someone else did. Far away, back in the royal palace, the alien prince watched the news report. "Commander Rylan has taken the servant girl aboard his ship," one of his advisors said. The prince frowned. "She's still alive?" "Yes. And, according to our spies, she's no longer a servant. He treats her as an equal." The prince's face darkened. "What started as a joke," he said, "is turning into a problem." He turned to his guards. "Send someone to fix it." The human and the gift space was silent. Too silent. Inside the ship Nomad, Lyra stood at the viewing deck, watching stars drift past like glowing dust. It had been 17 days since the royal party, 17 days since she was gifted to a human as a joke. But Rylan Ward wasn't like the others. He didn't laugh. He didn't shout. He didn't touch her without reason. He just listened. That confused her the most. She had grown up in fear. As a child, Lyra had been hidden in underground chambers while her planet was being invaded. She remembered the night the skies turned red, and the royal guards whispered, "Hide her, she must not fall into their hands." She didn't know why they said that. Now, years later, she only knew one thing. If they gave her to a human as a joke, then they clearly thought she was worthless. So why was this human treating her like she mattered? Rylan sat in the control room watching the readouts. Engines, fine. Fuel, full. Security, too quiet. He wasn't relaxed. He didn't do relaxed. His instincts, sharpened by years of war, told him something was off. The moment he accepted. The mood changed. The aliens had stopped laughing, some had started watching too closely. "Lyra," he said, turning as she stepped in. "Have you eaten today?" She blinked, surprised again. No one ever cared about that before. "Yes, I think." "You think?" He smirked. "Come on, you can't save the galaxy on an empty stomach." Her face tightened. "Save the galaxy? Is that what you think I'm here for?" "Don't know yet," he said, walking toward the kitchen. "But you're not just some broken toy they tossed my way. I can feel it. There's something bigger going on." That night, while Rylan slept lightly, as soldiers do, Lyra wandered into the ship's data room. She scanned through files. On alien bloodlines, old empires, royal houses. Then she stopped. There, hidden in a forgotten archive. A picture. A woman with silver eyes and a crown. Her mother. The file called her Royal Consort of House Elavari, executed for treason. Treason? No, that wasn't right. Her mother was a healer, not a fighter, a woman of peace. So why lie? Her fingers trembled. Maybe the joke wasn't just a joke. Maybe it was a cover-up. Outside the ship, in the dark vacuum between stars, something watched them. A ship, cloaked, silent. Inside it, an assassin sat in meditation, skin pale like moonlight, eyes red and unblinking. He wasn't from this galaxy. He was hired, trained, and paid in blood. His target was simple: the girl. She was not supposed to live this long. The blood in her veins was dangerous. Back aboard Nomad, Rylan checked ship logs. "Huh. What is it?" Lyra asked. "We're being followed, but whoever it is, they're good. Too quiet." Her face went pale. "Do you think they sent someone after me?" "I think they regret giving you away," he said. "And they want to clean up their mistake." Silence hung between them. "I need to know," he said softly. "Who are you?" "Really?" Lyra looked down. "I don't know," she whispered. "But I think I might be someone they fear." Rylan nodded slowly. "Then we better find out before they find us." Later in the training bay, Rylan taught her how to use a pulse blade. "Hold it like this, elbow tight, no flinching." She tried, failed, tried again. Sweat dripped down her face. "I'm not strong," she said. "Yes, you are," he replied. "They tried to break you, but you're still here. That's strength." She looked at him. Something changed. That night, while they rested, not quite friends, not quite strangers, the assassin made his move. The ship lights flickered, alarms, screamed, and in the dark hallway, Lyra stood face to face with death. Whispers in the void. The scream of the alarm died into silence. Lyra stood frozen in the hallway of the Nomad, heart hammering like a war drum. Lights blinked red, shadows stretched like claws across the walls. Then, movement fast, silent, deadly, a flash of silver and a blade. She dropped just in time. The knife missed her face by inches. He was tall, thin, wrapped in dark armor that shimmered like oil. His eyes were red, not glowing, not mechanical, just unnatural. The assassin didn't speak. He moved like a shadow with a purpose. Each step he took was perfect, silent, controlled. Lyra backed away, breath shallow. She had never fought. She had never needed to. But she had watched, and she remembered what Rylan told her. Don't aim for strength, aim for survival. She grabbed a wrench from the wall. Basic, clumsy, but solid. He lunged. She dodged. Barely. Then, the floor shook. Rylan had arrived. Down! He shouted. She dropped as a stun blast roared over her head, slamming into the assassin's chest. The figure stumbled, not dead, not even stunned, just annoyed. What is that thing? Lyra gasped. Trouble, Rylan growled, pulling her behind him. And probably not the last. Hours later, the assassin was dead. It had taken 3 stun rounds, 2 grenades, and a very angry punch from Rylan that broke the man's visor in half. But the bigger question remained. Who sent him? Lyra asked. Rylan checked the body. No ID, no mark, just a metal tag with one word. Silence. He frowned. I've heard of them. Killers for hire. Work in shadows. If they're involved, this goes beyond politics. Lyra's stomach turned, cold. I think they're afraid of you, Rylan said, studying her. But why? What's so special about your blood? She didn't know. But someone else might. Elsewhere in the galaxy, in the halls of the alien High Council, whispers echoed like dying stars. She's still alive, one of the counselors hissed. The human protected her. She should have been dead the moment she left the palace. An elder, with skin like cracked stone, raised a trembling finger. You fools made a joke of prophecy. Now you fed the fire. If the child is born, there is no child yet, but there will be. The elder growled. The old scrolls are clear. A lost royal. A union with a human. A child who will break the chain of control. Bow. Others fell silent. She cannot live, the elder said, nor the human, not now. Back on the Nomad, Lyra stared at the assassin's broken blade. Do you believe in prophecies? She asked. Rylan raised an eyebrow. I believe in 2 things. Guns and bad timing. She smiled weakly. There's a story from my planet, about a starborn child and half alien, half human, who would bring peace, but only after war. He leaned back in his seat. And you think, that's you? I don't know, she said honestly. But I'm starting to think someone else does. The next stop was Nixora Station, a neutral port floating between systems, dirty, crowded, and full of informants. Rylan knew someone there, a codebreaker named Jex, who owed him favors, many favors. Lyra stays with me, Rylan said as they entered the neon-lit hub. Jex was small, insectoid, with too many eyes and not enough charm. You brought the girl? Jex hissed. Do you have any idea how many systems want her dead? Right now? That's why I'm here. Jex twitched. All right, but you didn't hear this from me. He pulled up an old data file. Ancient, corrupted, but readable. It showed a family tree, alien royal bloodlines, and a sealed record at the bottom. Name, Lyra Elivari. Status, lost princess. Lineage, confirmed. Another line blinked below. Designated, future mother of the celestial heir. Lyra stared at it. Is this a joke? Jex looked at her, eyes suddenly serious. No, this is what started a war. Back in the Nomad, the pieces were falling into place. They hadn't just given her away. They had tried to erase her. The joke was never meant to be funny. It was meant to bury the prophecy under shame and silence. But Rylan didn't care about prophecy. He cared about her. You okay? He asked. Lyra nodded slowly. I'm just tired of running. Then let's stop. She looked at him, confused. What do you mean? I mean, it's time to stop hiding. If they want a war, let's give them one they'll never forget. Somewhere beyond the edge of known space. In a quiet chamber, a tall figure stood before a map of stars. He was not alien, not entirely. He was human, but twisted, enhanced. cold. His name, Commander Varen. Once a hero. Now a ghost. He had been hunting someone white for years. The girl, Lyra. She's alive, his lieutenant said. Varen smiled. Good. Then everything is going according to plan. The camera zoomed in. His eyes, silver, just like hers. The assassination attempt. The Nomad floated quietly in the nebula cloud of Sector R5. From the outside, it looked like an old cargo ship, harmless, forgettable. Inside, it was a storm waiting to happen. Lyra stood in the training bay, her hands shaking, as she stared at the knife in front of her. It wasn't a weapon. Not really. Not yet. But soon it would be. You need to be ready, Rylan had said. Ready for what? More assassins? More secrets? More galaxy-ending truth bombs? She hadn't signed up for any of this. She had been a servant, a joke, a thing. Now, people were whispering words like prophecy and heir and future queen. They didn't feel real. She didn't feel ready. But fate? Fate didn't wait for permission. Across the ship, Rylan paced the control deck, running scans. Something felt off. Ever. Since they left Nexora Station, no one had followed them. No bounty pings. No threats. Nothing. Too quiet, and quiet in his experience was always the sound before an explosion. He tapped into their encrypted comms. Jex, you sure no one traced us? Static. Jex? Nothing. Then, a voice. But not Jex's. She doesn't belong to you. Boom. The ship shook, lights flickered. An explosion tore through the lower deck, not from outside, from within. Lyra fell to the floor as alarm screamed. Smoke curled up the hallway. She scrambled to her feet, grabbing the knife. Footsteps. Not Rylan's. Too light. Too soft. She turned and saw someone she never expected. Talia, one of Rylan's old crewmates, friendly, calm, smiles like sugar and lies, but now she had a weapon pointed at Lyra's chest. You, Talia said coldly, are going to end everything. Lyra backed up. Why? What did I do? Talia's eyes were hard. You were supposed to die on the palace floor, that was the deal. You were never meant to matter. I didn't ask for this. Exactly, Talia hissed. But the galaxy is watching now. The child they whisper about, that's you. You're the match. You're the mother of the heir, and people are ready to kill to stop that. She stepped closer. Lyra gripped the knife tighter. Are you going to kill me? Talia raised the blaster. I liked you, you know. But loyalty comes first. Bang. The shot rang out. But it didn't hit Lyra, because Rylan tackled Talia, just in time slamming her into the wall. They fought. Brutal and fast old crewmates. Now enemies. Talia pulled a blade from her boot, slashed across Rylan's arm. Blood hit the wall. He didn't stop. He punched her once, hard, and she dropped, unconscious. Are you hurt? He asked Lyra, breath ragged. She stared at the blood, on his sleeve. You're bleeding. Yeah, but I've had worse breakfast injuries. She almost laughed. Almost. Instead, she sat down hard on the floor. Why are they doing this? He knelt beside her. Because they're scared of what you are, what you might become. And what's that? She whispered. Rylan looked at her, not like a soldier, not like a protector, but like a man, seeing a spark in the dark. The future. They locked Talia in the brig, set the ship to high alert mode, and began repairs. But nothing was the same after that. The betrayal stung. Rylan trusted her. Lyra had spoken with her. She had laughed with her. And yet, Talia was just one of many waiting for the right moment to strike. Trust was dangerous now, even more dangerous than prophecy. Later, Lyra stood alone in the med bay, wrapping Rylan's arm as gently as she could. I'm sorry, she said. For what? he asked. For all of this? If you'd left me on that palace floor, none of this would have happened. He tilted his head. If I'd left you, I would have made the biggest mistake of my life. She looked into his eyes, surprised. No jokes, no smirks. Just truth, and something else. Something that made her heart forget how to beat. That night, as Rylan slept in the pilot chair, refusing medbay rest like the stubborn mule he was, Lyra opened the encrypted file Jex had sent her. It showed more than just her royal blood. It showed a timeline, a prophecy sequence, one that ended with a line written in ancient script. The heir shall be born of fire and choice, not blood. When the stars fall and the old kings rise, the heir will unite or destroy. Fire and choice, not blood. She wasn't important because of who her parents were. She was important because of what she might choose. That terrified her. Back on the alien homeworld, the council was meeting again. She lives, one whispered. The assassin failed. The traitor failed. The elder frowned. Then we must act before the child is conceived. An icy silence fell. One counselor stepped forward. There is another. A screen lit up, showing a man in black armor. His eyes gleamed silver. Commander Varen. Half-blood. Warforged. Loyal only to conquest. The elder smiled. Release him. The future in her womb. The ship was quiet again. Too quiet. After Talia's betrayal, after the assassin, after the prophecy file, Lyra found herself staring out at the stars with only one thought running through her head. What if it's true? Not the bloodline, not the danger, the heir, the child, her child. It started 3 days ago. She woke up dizzy, couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. Her body ached, like it was preparing for something that hadn't happened yet. At first, she blamed stress. But stress didn't change the way you smelled everything. Didn't mess with your heartbeat. Didn't make you feel like something inside you was waiting to speak. Rylan noticed. He always did. You okay? He asked. She smiled too quickly. Fine. He raised an eyebrow. You're lying. I'm trying, she said softly. That night she went to the medbay alone, let the scanner run. The screen blinked. Once. Twice. Then, life form detected. 3 weeks. Hybrid DNA. Human plus unregistered alien sequences. She stared at the screen. Heart silent. Brain screaming. She was pregnant, and not just with any child. This was the heir. She didn't tell Rylan right away. How could she? How do you tell someone they're about to become the father of a galaxy-changing legend when they barely let themselves be vulnerable? But something was happening across the stars. She could feel it. A tension, like the galaxy had stopped breathing, and it had started the moment that embryo sparked to life. Meanwhile, deep in the ruins of House Elivari, Lyra's ancestral home, something ancient had awakened. Buried beneath stone and starlight, sealed. For 1,000 years sat the vault of foretelling, and in it, a wall of light, glowing slowly, symbols appearing. The prophecy had updated itself. Something that had never happened before. The flame has been lit. Monks gathered in silence, no words, just fear. Because the next part of the prophecy spoke of the Phoenix War, and it began with a birth. Back on the Nomad, Rylan was repairing the hull plating when Lyra finally approached. I need to tell you something, she said. He looked up, sensing the weight in her voice. She held out the med scanner silently. He read the results, and for the first time since she met him, he stepped back. You're sure? She nodded. He ran a hand through his hair. Are you okay? Scared. He met her eyes. We'll handle it. That's the problem, she whispered. I don't think this is something we can handle. They ran scans again and again. Each time the results changed slightly. Not Just growth, evolution. The DNA of the child was shifting, reacting to something, not mutating, just adapting. It's like the child is syncing with the galaxy, Rylan muttered. I've never seen anything like it. Lyra clutched her. So I can feel them. Hear them? No. Feel. Like a presence. Like they're dreaming. And I'm part of it. They had to move. The news would spread. If someone else found out first, if the child was captured, they'd weaponize it. Or worse, destroy it. So they headed for an old rebel safe house hidden in the asteroid fields of Asharian. A place with no comms, no tech, no spies, just silence and dust, and time. While Lyra rested, Rylan kept watch outside the bunker entrance. He hadn't slept properly in days. His mind spun like a broken satellite. This was more than prophecy now. This was his child. And maybe, the first real chance at peace the galaxy ever had. Or the end of everything. But peace doesn't last long in stories like these. High above the bunker, cloaked ships entered orbit. Not alien, not royal, human. Black Ops, marked with a symbol Lyra had seen once before. In a vision. A phoenix in chains. Inside the bunker, Lyra jolted awake. Her hands trembled. Her skin burned. A voice inside her head. Not words, not sentences, just emotion. Danger. The baby, not yet born, was warning her. She ran outside just as Rylan was checking the scanners. They found us, he said, already loading weapons. 3 ships, 1 dropship inbound. She stood beside him. No, she said, not this time. I'm not running. You can't fight like this. I'm not going to fight, she said. I'm going to end it before it begins. The ship landed. Doors opened. Out stepped a man in black armor, not like the others. Taller, stronger, calm. Commander Varen. His silver eyes locked onto Lyra. Daughter of Elavari, he said, voice like steel over ice. You carry the future. Hand it over. She stepped forward, eyes full of fire. If you want it, you'll have to kill me. He tilted his head. No, he said. That would ruin the prophecy. I just need you. Afraid. He raised his hand. A strange pulse hit her. Not physical, not visible, but powerful. She dropped to her knees. The child inside her screamed without sound. Rylan ran to her, guns blazing. But Varen didn't flinch. Tell me, Captain, he said as Rylan aimed at his head. Do you know what happens when the phoenix awakens? Inside the wrong nest? Rylan pulled the trigger. Blackout. The battle for the air silence. The kind that comes after the explosion. But just before the scream, Lyra opened her eyes to a world of blurry red light and broken air. Smoke choked the skies above the bunker. Stones had fallen all around her like angry stars. She couldn't hear Rylan. She couldn't hear the baby. All she could hear was the whisper of the phoenix. Far above her, in the sky-cracking clouds of Asharian, 3 enemy ships hovered like death itself. Troops dropped from them in sleek black armor, not royal guards, not alien mercenaries, humans, but not the kind Rylan was. These men didn't serve freedom. They served power. They served Varen. And Varen? He wasn't smiling anymore. His silver eyes were cold, focused, waiting. Rylan crawled from the rubble first, face bloody, shoulder dislocated. He saw Lyra on her knees, breathing hard, holding, her stomach like the galaxy was collapsing inside her. Lyra, he shouted. She looked at him, but her eyes were glowing, not like lights, like stars. Inside her womb, the child pulsed with something not entirely human, not entirely alien either. Something new. A whisper echoed in Lyra's mind. Not air, not pawn, beacon. She didn't know what that meant, but she knew one thing. They would not take her child. The enemy troops began their march across the valley, slow, brutal, precise. Ryland popped his shoulder back into place with a scream and grabbed his rifle. "You're hurt," Lyra said. "Yeah, but pain reminds me I'm still alive." He smirked. She didn't. Inside the bunker, they activated the final defense system, a planetary-grade EMP pulse hidden deep beneath the old rebel systems. If triggered, it would knock out everything. Weapons, ships, even them. But it could buy them time, and time was now measured in heartbeats. As Ryland moved to the control room, Lyra stood in the meditation chamber, an ancient part of the bunker once used by force-sensitive monks. She didn't know why she went in, she just knew. She was drawn. The room pulsed softly. Old carvings glowed as she walked, and then, a vision. Her child, a young figure with silver eyes and fire in their palms, standing before two armies, not with weapons, but with light, peace or war. It would depend on the path she chose now. Outside, Varen gave the command, "Take them, alive. And if the captain resists, remove him." The battle began. The first wave of soldiers stormed the valley. Ryland met them head-on. He was a soldier, yes, but this was personal. Each shot was precise. Every move was fury. But he was outnumbered 20-1. He ducked behind cover, breathing hard. "Lyra, we need that pulse, now!" Back inside, Lyra stood before the pulse controls. Her hands hovered. Her mind raced. If she activated it, it would knock out the enemies. But it could also hurt the child. The energy was unpredictable. But if she didn't, everyone would die. "Fire and choice," she whispered. "That's what the prophecy said." This was the choice. This was her fire. She slammed her palm on the control panel. A blinding light burst across the valley. The sky turned white. Ships dropped. Weapons exploded in soldiers' hands. And then, stillness. All power was gone. Even Ryland's. Rifle fizzled out. He stood stunned, watching as the enemy stumbled, and Lyra stepped out from the bunker. No weapon, no armor, just her, and the glow. The glow from inside her chest, her belly, her mind. Varen stared at her from across the battlefield. "You shouldn't have done that," he said, walking slowly toward her. "You shouldn't have touched what doesn't belong to you," she replied. The two faced each other, 20 feet apart. The air was heavy with dust and prophecy. Varen tilted his head. "You know who I am, don't you?" Lyra nodded. "You're the other half." He smiled. "My mother was Elavari too, but my father was no human, not really." His skin began to ripple, shift, change, not into a monster. Worse, into what Lyra might have become, had she grown up like him, cold, ruthless, controlled by fear. "I am what the prophecy feared," he said. "The wrong phoenix, the wrong fire." He raised a hand, a dark energy forming in his palm. Lyra didn't move. Instead, she whispered to the child within her, and the child responded. A shockwave burst from her. Not violent, not destructive, but calm. Everything within 100 meters, frozen, not dead, just still. Even Varen. He couldn't move, couldn't breathe, could only stare as Lyra stepped forward. "You are fire," she said, "but I am light." She touched his forehead. For a brief second, he saw a future he'd never known. Peace, family, stars without war. Then everything went dark. Ryland ran to her. She collapsed into his arms, drained, crying, shaking. "It's over," he said, but she shook her head. "No," she whispered. "It's beginning." Far across the stars, the Galactic Council watched the sensor feeds black out. "The Phoenix is active," one said. Another muttered, "We missed our chance." The elder stared into the dark. "No," he said coldly. "Now comes the war of choices. The air of fire and starlight." Time passed, but not like it used to. Every second felt like it carried the weight of galaxies. The war outside had paused, not ended, just holding its breath. Because across the stars everyone knew, the child is coming, and not just any child. The heir of prophecy, the bridge between species, the spark of peace, or the start of galactic extinction. Inside a quiet safe zone on the HFY, moon of Saturn 9, Lyra lay in a white chamber glowing with soft starlight. Her breathing was fast. Her hands gripped the sheets. Sweat poured down her skin. Rylan paced outside like a lion in a cage. He had faced alien warlords, assassins, and traitors. But now he was helpless and terrified. Hours passed. Screams, crying, light that pulsed from under the door. At one point, the walls vibrated. The moon shook. Sensors across 3 star systems picked up a strange energy wave. No weapon, no ship, just life, new life. Then finally, silence. And then, a single cry. Not loud, not human, not alien, something else, something more. The door opened. Lyra was pale, trembling, crying, but smiling, and in her arms, a child, wrapped in soft white cloth, eyes glowing faintly gold. A symbol shimmered above its tiny heart. A flicker of flame curled in a spiral of stars. The mark of the true heir. The news traveled faster than light. Across galaxies, kings and queens, generals and rebels, smugglers and soldiers. They all saw the image, the mother, the human, and the heir. And they didn't all cheer. Some saw hope. But others? They saw a threat. On the Galactic Council, panic spread like fire through dry grass. "They've done it," one whispered. "The prophecy is fulfilled. They broke the laws of species. They created a weapon." The elder stood slowly. "We must decide," he said. "Not what to do about the heir, but what we will do before the heir decides about us." Meanwhile, Lyra and Rylan hid. The Tom birth had drained her. The child, named Aelin, wasn't just growing fast, they were learning. At 2 weeks old, Aelin could walk. By the 3rd, Aelin was speaking, not just words, but truths. They would point to people and say things like, "He lied yesterday. She's going to hurt someone. This planet will burn in 3 years unless they stop mining." It scared Lyra. It scared Rylan more. But they never turned away. They just listened. Then, the betrayal came. From someone they trusted. An old rebel contact, Mexolin, who had once sworn loyalty to Rylan. He arrived smiling. Hugged them, offered food and safety. But as they slept, he sent a signal. Coordinates. A message. "I have the heir. Come quick. Pay double." He didn't do it out of hate. He did it out of fear. Because fear makes monsters out of men. The ships arrived within the hour. Not 1, not 2, 12. They surrounded the safe zone like vultures around a broken body. Lyra woke to the sound of sirens. Rylan grabbed the child, and Aelin was already awake. Eyes wide, hands glowing. "I'm not afraid," the child said softly. They ran to the escape tunnel. Mech stood in their path. "I had to," he said. "They would have killed us all." "You fool," Rylan growled, raising his weapon. But Lyra stepped forward. "No," she whispered. "Let him watch." She looked at Aelin. The child nodded, and then the stars answered. From the sky above, a beam of gold light burst through the clouds. It wasn't fire. It wasn't destruction. It was memory. Visions flooded Mech's mind, all the futures Aelin could have chosen. Peace, war, hope, despair. He saw them all. He fell to his knees. I didn't know," he whispered. "I didn't know what they really were." Rylan grabbed him by the collar. "Get out of the way." Mech did. He never betrayed anyone again. The escape was brutal. Ships chased them through asteroid fields. Drones screamed warnings. The bounty on Aelin's head hit 10 million credits, but somehow they survived. And when they reached a secret communication node, Lyra sent a message. This is Lyra Elivari, former royal, mother of the air. We are not your enemy. But if you come for us, we will not run. We will stand, and we will burn. That message was replayed across thousands of systems. Some rebel planets rose in support, others tightened their security. The galaxy had reached its breaking point, and the child? The child just stared out the window, watching, waiting, learning. Aelin turned to Lyra one night and said, I will fix what you broke, and I will destroy what they built. Years passed. The war never came, because by the time Aelin turned 6, the galaxy changed, the council fell, the royal houses dissolved, and a new alliance rose, led not by a throne, but by a family, Rylan Ward, the war-born human, Lyra Elivari, the forgotten joke turned mother of legends, Aelin, the heir of fire and starlight. Together, they didn't just survive. They rewrote the rules of history and the prophecy. It didn't end in fire, it ended in light.